Well, joining me now is writer and broadcaster Esther Krakue. Esther, King Charles and Prince Harry met for the first time in nearly 2 years earlier this month. There's speculation Harry would like to be in Britain a bit more, but the King has reportedly said there's no such thing as half in, half out. If you're in, you're fully in. Sounds fair to me?
Yes, he basically respected the decision of his mother, the late Queen, and said you can't be a sort of half in, half out royal. I think it's just not an approach that really works for the royal family. And this comes off the back of the fact that there was speculation about Harry possibly returning. We know that Harry has wanted to, regain his state-provided security because he wants to bring his family over and visit the UK more often. But people were asking, did he just want to visit, or does he want to actually get back into the action as a working royal? Because we know that his escapades with Netflix and all the other shenanigans that him and Meghan have been up to have not really panned out as well as they would hope. And the following day, the Times journalist basically said, absolutely not. And this is straight from the palace. That is not happening. And I happen to work in the Times building as well. So I could just imagine the journalist, in the middle of a shower or lunch being like, we need to nip this in the bud, because that's not happening. Because that's something that would really annoy the British public if someone like Prince Harry and his wife are allowed to come back into the royal fold. But there are talks of sort of King Charles and Harry attending some engagements together to show a sign of unity, just to show that all is not lost in their relationship. But I don't really know how that's going to work, because the King's diary is completely full. I know the King books engagements up to 3 years in advance. So I'm really curious as to where he'll find room for Prince Harry, especially at an engagement where he may not have access to the public, at risk of being pelted with rotten tomatoes.
Yeah, well, I think the key thing there is the royal family can't be plan B for your life. You either do it or you don't. Hey, in the time we've got left, I just want to quickly ask you about Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, who's promising he'll deport hundreds of thousands of migrants if he's elected Prime Minister. These are migrants who've already been given permanent residency. He says they'll be forced to reapply for visas under stricter criteria.
Yeah, these are migrants that came in during the pandemic, basically 2020, 2021, during the Boris wave, that are going to qualify for permanent residency as of next year. So what we're going to see is hundreds of thousands of people, potentially up to 1.2 million people, being able to remain in the UK on a permanent basis, and then a year after that be able to apply for British citizenship. And once they actually qualify for British citizenship, there's no going back. They're going to become British citizens, and they will be able to claim all the benefits of being a British citizen. And Nigel Farage's argument is that these privileges were handed too loosely during Boris's wave of unfettered immigration, basically. They have not invested in the country, but more so, they're going to cost the British taxpayer a lot of money. You have to understand that becoming a British citizen means, the role of the British state in your life is much more expanded. If you're traveling abroad and you get into a problem, you have to contact the British embassy. All of these comes at a cost. And it's also the idea that it becomes so easy and cheap to be a British citizen. Countries like Switzerland or even the Emirates have much stricter citizenship and permanent residency criteria based on what they actually give or bring or contribute to the country. And I think that's where Nigel Farage is trying to align his views. And he's really saying that he could potentially be Prime Minister by 2027. So this is one of those things that will wake people up to the reality of what's actually going on inside the country.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch how that's received by the British public. Esther, thanks for joining me tonight.